Hey guys, this is Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have 4 looks for you using the new Huda Beauty Naughty Nudes palette. But first, if you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you're an oldie but goodie, welcome on back. My name is Ashley and I have a doctorate in pharmacy. And that's how you get Dr. Ash and her makeup, because what I love makeup. Eyeshadow is really my jam, but please just call me Ash or Ashley. So like I said, I have 4 looks today using the Huda Beauty Naughty Nudes palette, and this palette actually released today on the Sephora app and on Sephora online and in the store. So today is November 1st, it's Sunday, and I ran to the store and I picked this up because I was really interested in this palette. So this palette retails for $67. The VIB sale is going on, so depending on your category, you can get 20%, 15%, or 10% off of the palette. So I love that it launched during the sale. I love when new things launch during the sale. It's like, yes, something exciting other than just my refills of eyebrow pencils, because I buy everything before the sale. That's another discussion. Okay, so this palette is kind of like the follow-up of her first palette, which was the new nude palette. And a lot of people like kind of dragged her for having like pinky mauvey nudes. But let me tell you, how many companies have come out with pinky mauvey nudes since then? Okay, so I want to say the new nude palette actually released in 2018. I no longer have it, but if you wanted to look at those images and those looks that I did, I will link that video down below or up here in the cards. But this is the Naughty Nude, so it's a little bit deeper, and she's saying, it's okay to be free with your sexuality, and that's why it was important for her to do a palette like this. Now this palette is a hard case package palette, which I do like, and the name is embossed on the front, and then once you open it up, you have 18 different shades with totally different finishes. So you know Huda, she always has to bring, you know, the different finishes and the textures. And then once you open it up, you have this very large mirror, which I do like, and I still have the plastic on if you're wondering, so it is a high quality mirror. And then here are the glorious 18 shades. And I thought that this was going to be a really pretty palette, something I could wear every day, so that's what kind of intrigued me. And the shade Passion with that little blue shift, full disclosure, one of the reasons why I bought the palette. So let's just jump to the shades real quick, because everybody wants to know about this slippery shade, and I have dug into it. So here's the slippery shade, and yes, it did kind of look like the pictures that we saw floating around the internet, and it's a gloss shade. Okay, so the gloss is a gloss, and it's not sticky, it's just glossy. But there are little pearlized pigments in there that upon time will kind of like burst and give the payout of the color. Now, like I said later on in the video, I don't care about that, but I will show you what it looks like, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about some of the finishes that she has in this particular palette. I'm getting some of these descriptions off of the Sephora website. So Huda is calling this a versatile palette with 18 shades and 5 ultra wearable textures to create dramatic smoky eyes, as well as a variety of natural and sultry looks. And the palette is cruelty free, and it says what you need to know is that it's a reimagining of her best-selling new nudes palette, and this palette contains 18 shades and 5 ultra wearable textures. So it's harmoniously curated to undress your eyes, create an after dark smolder, and with 8 velvety soft pigmented mattes, 5 high shine metallics, 3 luxe multi-reflecting marble creams, 1 mesmerizing marble matte cream, and 1 shimmering gloss hybrid. That's the shade Slippery that we were talking about. So the matte cream would be the shade Hard, and then you see the other shimmering creams, which is the shade called Provocative and the shade Passion, and also the shade that is called Flower Power. So those are the particular shades that are more of the cream formulation. And then you have the high shine metallics that you were talking about, which is Shameless, Irresistible, Tantric, and Please Me. And then you have beautiful matte shades that are regular standard mattes. So this is actually the unicarton that the palette came in, so the palette's name actually just shine right through. So on the unicarton it says that the palette is good for 24 months once you open it, and that the palette is made in Italy, and it has a net weight of 16.8 grams or 0.59 ounces. So and the package is recyclable. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's swatch the palette, and then we're gonna jump into the 4 looks. First up, we have the shade Filthy, Passion. That shade, oh my gosh, so beautiful. Shameless. The shade is stunning as well. Please Me, Hypnotic, Hard. Hard is that creamy matte. Untamed, Irresistible, and Flower Power. That is also a creamy metallic like the shade Passion. F Rough, Spicy, Arouse. Somehow we've ended up at my little crusty elbow almost. So this is the shade Slippery, that is the gloss. We have the shade Tantric, Naughty. Okay, so forgive me because we're at my elbow, so I'm gonna work these swatches in. We have the shade Provocative. We have Desire, because I had such a big space right there. And we have the shade Juicy. So, sorry, I ran out of space. I spaced them out way too much right here. So these are the 18 shades. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Eyebrows are already filled in using my usual pencil, which is the Benefit Cosmetic Goof Proof Brow Pencil, shade 3.75. Going in with my favorite eyeshadow primer, which is my Urban Decay Primer Potion, shade Caffeine. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with my Wayne Goss number 17 brush. And I'm not really sure where we're going with the looks, but we will find out in just a second. So at first, I'm gonna jump in with the shade Juicy right here, and we're just going to start blending that in the crease / transition area. All right, so immediately I put it down. It's giving me pigment. It's coming off a lot darker than I thought it would be. Okay, so that's good because look at this shade. This is the shade Juicy. So it looks a little bit lighter, and it's not really so much the camera. It looks lighter to me in person. And then when I put it on my eye, this is what it's looking like. So I am liking that. And I'm just going to blend it out. And this is blending out very easily. Okay. So we're off to a good start. I'm just going to dip back in one more time. Okay, that is a really gorgeous color. For Wayne Goss number 4, we're going to go in with the shade Naughty right here. And it looks like it's a mid-tone brown. I have not swatched any of these shadows yet. So I just kind of like to experiment when I put the colors on my eyes and give you my initial impression. So that is really pretty. Also, it's going down pretty deep. And it's blending out really well and layering over that first shade Juicy really well. So I do like that. And I'm just kind of fusing the two together. UG Soft Shader, going to jump in with the shade. Let's go in with Untamed right here. And we're going to start packing this in the outer V. Ooh, and that's pretty as well. And that's very deep. Everything I've picked up has just been really gorgeous, really pretty, really deep. I'll go back with that Wayne Goss number 17. That was the very first brush, jumping into that very first shade, which was Juicy, just to add a little bit more color where we lost that. Your G Builder Pro, going in with the shade Desire. Now, you know when it's a shade like this in the palette, I got to do it. I got to do it. So I'm just going to pick that up. And that's very pretty also. Just placing this on the lid. And if you see the shadow skipping, I'm sure right there, that's my primer. My primer sometimes does that right there. But I love this primer because it locks my shadows in place. Like, they could be on for hours. They do not move, okay? So sometimes I think it just kind of skips with my eye folds also. But it's usually never an issue because I usually just kind of cover up with a shimmer shade right there anyway, like we're doing now. So, see? Not even an issue. The shade is gorgeous as well. This is the shade Desire, which is this cranberry shade. And it has some purple in it too. So, just blending that so it's fused together. Go back in a little bit with that soft shader brush, going back in with that shade Untamed. That was that deeper shade, and just going to put a little bit more here where we lost it, kind of fuse it into the crease. At the Definer brush by Sonia G, we're going to pick up the shade Irresistible right here. And this looks like it's going to be gorgeous as well. Just going to pop that in the inner corner. And this shade is really pretty also. You'll probably get more maximum payoff using your finger or one of those Sephora silicone applicators. All right, so that is look number 1. All right, eyelid is prime, same primer, Wayne Goss number 17. Going to jump in with the shade called Filthy right here, which is more of like a light mauve shade. Throw that in the transition. Okay, so this shade is a little bit lighter, and it does have pigment, so it does start showing up, and then look, okay, yeah, you can build it up. So that is good to know. Gloss number 4, I'm going to pick up the shade, I want to say, let's go with the shade, see how deep the shade Rough pulls. I'm going to try that. Or no, that's more neutral. Let's see. Let's go in with Arouse. This is Arouse. Okay, so that is like pinky. That's a beautiful shade as well. It's like a, it's not pink, but it has a nice, probably because I'm looking over at this other shade, but it has a nice orangey brownish tone to it, but it plays very well with this shade that is called Filthy. And I'm just blending that back and forth. I'm just building this up to the intensity that I want it to be. All right, with the soft shader brush, I am going to try out the shade Spicy, which is right here. And pick that up, and we're going to place this in the crease. Ooh, that is really beautiful. And you can see this one has a little bit more brown eggplant versus the shade Untamed, which is a little bit more burgundy. So I'm just going to like pat this in the crease and then just kind of feather it out using that same brush. And I'll blend everything out in a second. And with my Sonia G Builder Pro, I am going to take the shade Provocative right here. And I think this is described as a shimmer. And it's one of the ones that has like the swirl pattern. So this is what it looks like on my brush after I did work in that other shimmer into the shade, like to swirl it around. So let's see, I'm gonna pick it up. Looks really pretty. Let's see. Didn't really know what I was going to get, to be honest. So I'm just going to place it on the eye. So that's what it's looking like so far. But what I do want to do, I want to take the shade Passion, which has kind of like a blue-brown flare to it. And I'm going to put that on the front side of the eye. I'm going to kind of fuse the two together. I'm still going to use that blue-brown brush. And I'm just swirling the shade together in the pan to like mix it up, I guess. Ooh, okay. And full disclosure, this is one of the reasons why I bought the palette. So, ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. So I know this one has like a brown berry shift. That's really pretty. Okay, so now we need to like blend and get this look together. So I'm gonna go back in Wayne Goss number 4. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of the shade Spicy that we placed on the outer crease. Together. I do want to go on my finger. I'm just going to take a little bit of Provocative. So that's a little bit lighter. So maybe I'll just, there we go. I'm just going to pat a little bit of Provocative. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Okay. I think it just depends on how the swirl goes sometimes. That's the only thing. And I'm going to take my finger and pick up a little bit more Passion. Here is the shade Passion. It is very beautiful. I do think that's really different, and I think that's a little bit unique to my collection. I'm liking that. Just gonna go back in with that soft shader brush, pick up a little bit more Spicy, pat it in here. Very happy. This looks a little celestial. It's good. I like it. I really do. It's a little different from everything I have. I'm just fine-tuning my blending. I'm gonna go back in with Filthy. That's that Wayne Goss number 4. And then with this eye, I was looking at it, number 17, going back in with Juicy. That was that very first shade we used. I'm like, we need some shadow up here. All right, so I'm gonna do my lashes, liner, and face makeup and be right back. All right, so these are the first 2 looks. I think they look really, really pretty, really gorgeous. All right, so I'm back. Makeup is on. I'm feeling super beautiful. Okay, so we must talk about this lip real quick. It is from Huda Beauty. It is the Demi Matte in the shade Bawse. And the rest of my face details will be linked down below in the description box. And oh my gosh, this eye right here, this purple, this blue, this, it is giving me life. And then this eye is giving me life too. Now, honestly, I think the shades perform beautifully on this eye, but if I must say, this is something I can kind of create out of a lot of my palettes, or any palettes that have that cranberry shade, but I feel like everything performs so beautifully and I have no complaints about it. But this eye right here with this shade that is called Passion, my goodness. It was one of the reasons why I bought the palette. Let me not blind you in the mirror. Why I bought the palette in the first place. I mean, I just could see, like, when that swatch, I was like, it looks like it has a blue tint to it. And I think it's just so pretty. As far as the duochromes, we've been seeing a lot of that blue-brown shade, like the shade Scarab and Mel's palette, which is like the same shade in the Pat McGrath Celestial Divinity, which is called... Ooh, that Celestial Divinity shade is called Dragonfly. Ooh, it was like here on, it was here. So the Provocative is very pretty also, but it turned out to be a little bit more lighter when you mix the swirl in. So I think that's a little bit different, where you're gonna have to realize, like, you don't really know what you're getting, but Passion, you get more of that blue. So far so good. All of the mattes perform so wonderfully. So I think that this palette is gonna be really like gear for, like, if you're my complexion, a little bit lighter and up, like, this is going to pop on you. So let's go ahead and get into let's see, I think I need to do to give this palette like a really good go. I know I usually, sometimes when I do my 3 looks, I just kind of finish off with one singular look, but I'm gonna come back with another look. We're gonna do one more on this side and this side, because to really show off all the shades in here, because there's so many different interesting textures. So, all right, I'm back. Eyelid is reprimed, going in Wayne Goss number 17 again. I am going to pick up the shade Rough right here, and I'm just gonna start sweeping it. Oh, that's a nice mid, because see, everything is like just pulling a little bit deeper. I'm here for that. The only thing I encountered that was a little bit lighter at the moment was the shade Filthy, but it built up nice. This, oh man, that's a great shade, Rough. Okay. So I'm just sweeping that in the transition and above the crease. With the medium sweeper, I'm going to pick up the shade called Naughty, which we have used before. That was that brown tone. And I'm going to just pat it in to the eye, to the outer corner. And it kind of just depends on how you lay this shade down, because now it doesn't look as dark, but it does have great pigment, so shade is a little versatile, so I appreciate that. Now with my Sonia G Builder Pro, I'm gonna try the shade Hard. This one has a little bit more of a creamy texture. I'm going to kind of give it a swirl around, and I think it's supposed to be some type of brown shade, so yeah, that is more like a cream shadow. Okay. And it does build up nice. It's very smooth and it blends out well. That's actually a pretty soft look, and with some lashes. Let's take the shade that everybody's been looking at, which is the shade Slippery. It's like a gloss, so it's weird, and you're supposed to be able, I guess, once the pearls break, let's see, I'm trying to really just press in there, as you see. I'm trying to really just kind of pick up the color. Okay, I'm testing it out, but like in real life, I think I wouldn't even care to be bothered with this, to be honest. And this is what it's looking like on my finger. And it's underneath my nail too, so that's like, ugh. But so I like the shade Hard better, but let's see what's Slippery. And it does not feel sticky, it just feels like slippery. And I'm just going to pat that over the eye, so it just gives a little sheen. I don't think I can get those pearls to really break. I'm really pressing in here. It's going to be gooky, a gooky mess. But it does look nice on the lid. It doesn't look bad. If you're into the glossy look, that's that. And then once, this is what my finger looks like when I'm finished. So it did lift a little bit of this shade Hard up. So I do like that kind of cream to powder shade Hard. I do think that one was nice. So I will just take my Builder Pro and just kind of smooth out that little area right there. But that's what it's looking like. I think, I don't know, either you fool with it, you don't, okay? So it is what it is. But I like this matte setup. I'm gonna go in with that Wayne Goss number 4 and just make sure everything is kind of blended out. I do like the overall tone of this look. You can just kind of sweep it. You got something sultry, throw some lashes on, some lashes on. You gotta look. Then with my Sonia G, this is the flat definer brush. I'm going to take this other shimmer shade that's called Flower Power. That's right there. I'm going to just pat it in the inner corner and kind of feather it into that other shade, just to have a little sparkle. All right, eyelid is primed using that same primer, Wayne Goss number 17. I'm gonna go in with the last matte that we have not tried, which is Hypnotic, and I'm gonna see what that looks like. And I'm just going to So this one's a little bit lighter. So these two are, I want to say, Filthy and Hypnotic. Those are the lightest mattes. But this one does have a nice little pinky color to it. And this one you get more of a little bit more of a light wash of color. I feel like Filthy builds up just a little bit more. And that was the one that was that light mauve-y pink. But it's still a nice matte. Wayne Goss number 4. Going to take the shade Arouse. Which is right here. And I'm just going to put that in the transition area. And layer it on top of that shade Rough. Taking my Sonia G, this is the Builder Pro. I'm going to go in with the shade Please Me right here. And now I'm just going to start patting this all over the lid. This is a nice champagne-y color. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wet the brush. I'm gonna pick up some more of that shade Please Me. And just go ahead and wet the brush using my Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. Yeah, and that really makes that shade pop. Wipe that brush off. I'm going to go in with the shade Tantric down here, which is a nice gold shade. And I'm just going to start pressing this in. And I will go ahead and wet this shade as well. And yeah, wetting this shade or using your finger with it will really help this shade pop. With this soft shader brush by Sonia G, I'm going to pick up a little bit of the shade Spicy. And I am just going to pat a little of this in the outer corner. Now just kind of take the edge and blend that out. All right, I'll be right back with some lashes and liner. All right, so here are the last 2 looks. All right, I'm back with the last 2 looks. So 2 totally different, like maybe neutral looks compared to the very first. So let's talk about the shade Slippery. It's on my eyelid, and you saw when I was putting it on my lid. So it's still there, it still has that glossy texture. I don't care. Honestly, if I wasn't on YouTube and I knew you guys wouldn't ask, I would not fool with the shade. Like, that's just, you know, Huda always has some texture, something a little bit different. She had the concealer shade in the first palette, which was the new Nudes. And like, I didn't really care about the concealer shade. That concealer shade didn't really do anything for me. It wasn't a shade where you could really cut the crease like she intended it to be, or you really use it as an eye base. So it's just like, whatever. And that's how I feel about the shade Slippery. I do feel like, it was a missed opportunity. That shade could have been like a stunning shade. Like, I know she does something different, but that one could have just been like something so beautiful. Where it was a little bit more purpley with some gold in it. It could have been like maybe one of these swirls, like how you have the shade Passion. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the shade Heart, because it is more of a cream-based shadow. Now, I do like that particular shadow. I feel like that will give you some really neutral, some really easy looks where you can kind of just sweep that across the lid, even kind of blend it up into the crease, and it'll be really cute, and you can just pop on some mascara and be out the door, so you have like a little bit of tint on your eyes. Now, Passion, I'm in love with. That was from the second look right here with that blue tint to it. I think it is absolutely beautiful. The formulation of it shows up very well. It's very smooth, it's creamy. And the same with these particular shade Provocative. I think this one is just more of a surprise. You don't really know what you're going to get. It's a little bit red, but you have more rose gold into it. So it just all kind of depends. But I feel like overall the palette is very beautiful, very wearable. All the mattes are so impactful when you're talking about this palette. I really, really enjoy it. And I think like she did a good job with it. And I feel like if you are a deeper skinned woman, like this palette is really just going to read so well on your complexion. I feel like the only thing that's really held me back sometimes with the Huda Beauty, the larger palettes, is that sometimes those crease shades or those outer corner shades when it comes to a woman of color does not always pull deep enough, but in here it does. So I felt the same way about the Desert Dust palette. I love that palette. I love like the rich coppery red tones, and she was one of the first that kind of gave us some of those tones in the Desert Dust. Some of those mattes, those browns, it just didn't pull deep enough. This one does. Same thing with the new Nudes. I had that palette, I decluttered it. This one does not have those pressed glitters. It does have the shade Slippery instead of the concealer, so whatever, that's a washout. And then, you know, this one, all of the mattes, like you have two really outstanding, very deep mattes. Even the shade that's a little bit more brown, like right here, it doesn't look very deep, but when we did the very first look, it pulled off deep. So I feel like you're going to get so many good variety of everyday looks. And like if you're my complexion and around my complexion, berry tones just work. Like they just work. If you're really warm, like they just work. So I feel like if you're of lighter skin complexion, yes, you can use this. This palette might not look as nude on you. It's going to look very berry. It's going to look a little bit more impactful versus a woman of color. It's going to be impactful. You can act it up. But then at the same time, it's still like a neutral base palette. So that's what I like about it. That's why I grabbed it, because I felt like this is something that I can use all the time as an everyday palette, because I like shades like this as everyday looks. I feel like they do a lot for me. Like this look right here, minus the slippery shade, it's very subdued, but it works on my complexion, and you get a lot of definition. You get that smoke, but it's like that smoky but natural look on it. So I really do enjoy the palette. I like the packaging. I like how it's hard. I'm not so keen if how I like about Naughty written across the whole front of the palette, but I like it. I don't like it. I'm on the fence. I do like how it's embossed and raised, and I do like the richness of the rose gold over it. And so overall, I'm really glad I purchased this palette. So I think I'm gonna have fun with this, and yeah, I'm definitely going to be picking it up and using it. And I just really love that shade. Like I said before, Passion. I feel like that's really different even in my vast collection. So let me know what you guys think about the looks. Let me know what was your favorite look. Of course, you already know I'm loving the look that had Passion right here. I would say the second look would be my very first look would be my second choice. And then actually, I would like this look better if I actually put on liner, but I didn't want to not put on liner because I wanted you to see what this looked like on the lid still. So I didn't want to have one with a wing liner, another with not a wing liner. So let me know what you guys think about the palette. Are you going to pick it up? It is out during the Sephora sale, so you can save a little money on it. So I'm glad she released it during the sale and early on during the sale. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this particular palette. Give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because you know I would love to have you here in my little makeup family. And with that being said, you already know what time it is. It's time for the cheat dance. Hey, hey. All right, y'all. Bye.